All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 11 of Wide Open.
12.
Oh, dang it. I already screwed it up. Welcome to episode 12 of Wide Open with Chris Burandt. He actually let me do the intro this time, so things are getting pretty serious around here.
You're actually way better at it than I am.
Dude.
You have a new job title.
Oh, boy, look out.
Another job title.
We are here.
The opportunities.
That's what I need is another job title. We are here with our guy, Ryan McConnell.
Thanks, my guy.
Yeah. And if you listen to episode 11, we kind of dove into Ryan's roles and his the beginnings of BBA. And yeah, we're going to kind of play off that and just keep it rolling for episode 12, huh?
More story to tell.
Yeah. I think what was cool listening to, Ryan's perspective about just the full circle of understanding and realizing that you found that desire and that new passion for snowmobiling again, right? And I think to see that come to fruition of making the commitment, the financial commitment to come, you had two kids, huge family, and you brought your wife to come out and ride with us. Mm-hmm. And it's funny how, you look at that now 9 years later, and now you're an integral part of BBA, and we're just getting rolling.
Yeah. And that all played into where we're at today as far as the whole vision. Like everything that we were talking about in those trips to and from the trailhead and the truck is still what we're working on.
I know the master list it's really hard to check things off of it because of we're busy, but it's really cool to, I think the biggest thing for me is you run this business like it's your own, and that's, and Ross, I see that new role for you as well, right? And that's something that you and I have talked about as we can really easily turn this to you too, right?
Exactly.
How old were you when you came here?
When I rode with you, I was 17.
17, right? And how old are you now?
24.
Right.
Yeah.
So both of you guys have been involved with BBA. Ross 7 years now, and Ryan 9. This isn't. It's a lifestyle choice.
It is.
And what people don't realize, and you guys quickly did, and you're still here somehow, is that it from the perception and the outside, it looks like we just go snowmobile and
we just ride snowmobiles.
Yeah, we just ride snowmobiles
and goof around the shop, right?
But the amount of effort and time and that has to go into our program to meet the expectations that I believe in and that we work so hard towards. It's a lot of damn work, and so it's and I don't I'm not looking for like the pity party on that. Ooh, yeah, he has to do a little work so he can snowmobile every day. I'm not looking for that, but I love that you guys understand and know my vision and my expectations, and that's what's really fun to see when we get our clients out, because just like you, Ryan, is and Ross, everybody has their unknowns when they come to BBA. Like, is it going to be worth it? I can't believe I'm spending money to actually go snowmobile when I can go snowmobile for free. Yeah. And that's where it is our jobs to over deliver, right? Mm-hmm. But it just takes a lot of work to do that. And we talked about how the business model of BBA has completely shifted. How our focus really is now. We will. If you give me the effort, we will make you a better rider. And instead of, I will get you stuck. I promise that, right? Which we still
that just comes along naturally.
that comes naturally, of course. But we love the goal now of making you a better rider, and it's amazing how it's turned our clientele completely around. and we ride with a different clientele, and the number of repeat bookings and all of that, it really shows all that work coming back full circle.
Yeah, that definitely that level of the experience that we talk about.
Yeah.
Not just focused on the mountain. It's just as much off the mountain, right?
Yeah.
At the lodge, in the shop, we've catered to the clients that come to see us in all aspects of the visit, and so that's what's really cool.
So I think where I wanted to go with today, I mean, yesterday we got it was awesome for the people to hear your story and your experience and how you got to be a part of here. But one thing that I think is dynamic about what you bring to the table here is your ability to teach, and how you literally came from, you were the client that couldn't side hill.
Yeah.
You were the client that struggled with everything that we teach, right?
Yeah.
And now you're the teacher.
Yeah, that's what's exciting.
And so I think that's what I would like to kind of to talk about on this episode is, when you put yourself in guide role now, right? And Ryan, you one thing that has been awesome is, you've guided with Ross, you've guided with Andrew, Kyle, and myself.
Yep.
And we all have different flavors, right? Of how we like to teach and our approach. And you've been able to kind of combine all of those.
Yeah.
One thing that was really cool is you got to go down to Chile. With me, and we were talking about this last night. That Chile trip for you was a big eye opener on how our approach to the business has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that.
Chile was just an eye opener in general. Just, people ask me, how's Chile? Well, it's really hard to put into words. It's just an amazing eye opening experience in all facets. But for me, on a personal level, as it ties to BBA, it was an eye opener because it was in all these years, going back to yesterday and talking about the history, that was the first time I've ever got to spend that much time with you. Just like one-on-one, and then on the snow, right? We've ridden together, of course, but not in any regularity. And so it was a true eye-opener in how to adjust the business after the tough year we had on snow, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked about that so much in Chile. Like, man, I can't believe how good that year turned out, even though our snow, Mother Nature wasn't so kind to us. And then I think that got us both thinking a lot, right?
It did.
And I know, and after those talks, and they were just, during our movie time in the cabin, right?
Yeah.
And I could see you adjusting kind of on the fly with the clients in the quincho at dinner, at breakfast. And I remember talking to you going, man, this is what it has to be, right?
Yeah.
I remember that talk, like walking to and from, and I remember you kind of, I could see the wheel spinning in your mind.
And what you're referring to is
so more detail on that.
Just every morning, every night we have a recap, and we put a new plan together so guys, I told you day one was going to be a boot camp, right? And it was. And so at dinner, after day one, that recap session is so crucial and so key, and now it plays such a big part in the experience for everybody. All the guides are there, and we're talking about so remember in the first riders meeting, guys, we were talking about whatever, foot placement, eyes up, blah blah blah, all the stuff that we always talk about. And so being able to, again, just not go to dinner, high five, and go home.
Yep.
Right. Just
peace out.
Just being more interactive, and I think the biggest thing too, which is so awesome, is these clients aren't, I use that word very loosely because they become our friends. Yeah. And when they feel that and we feel that, I mean, it's the progression is so much more better. The want is so much more. I look at guy. I mean, we could name them all, right? The Dale Rays, the Justin Hayeses, all of these customers that are right. I mean, they keep coming back because they love being pushed and learning stuff, but they love the program.
It's like coming home.
Yeah.
And that's what we foster so much. And I remember that being a pivotal part also in our just, our time at breakfast and at dinner at night, and people telling us how it felt like oh, it's just like immediately welcomed. And, it was things that we were being told at that time, right?
Yeah.
That we weren't maybe acknowledging as much as we could have prior.
Yeah.
And it really it just changed everything for us going forward from that year. So last year and especially, and I remember we got back and we put together like our rider meeting notes, right?
Yeah.
And we've just really upped the game on that front. And, our riders meetings have changed from like, make sure you put your scratchers down and let's be safe and follow me.
Yeah, don't be an idiot. Don't break things. Let's go.
Yeah.
Don't break things. These are our babies too. So much more. It's that whole...
we spend an hour the first morning.
And we go over it all and make sure, there's a lot of nerves involved. Let's just face it. It's scary in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I remember
the first
scared
days.
like hell.
Yeah.
It just is. And people you just need to expect that.
Right.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
This is a way more difficult adventure than most people realize, but it's the best kind of difficult.
Yeah.
It's the best kind of butt kicking. It's the best kind of scariness and uncomfortableness. And it's what changes you as a rider and how you look at things outside of riding. And that's what's so big for me when I'm talking to people. It's like, this isn't just snowmobiling. This is a lifestyle, to your point, change, and just a mindset change. Throw aside everything you think throw aside any, this is gonna change how you achieve your goals.
Yeah,
we're gonna show you how to achieve goals on and off the snow.
And that's what's fun. That's what's really fun is there is so much more that like I personally get out of this. Snowmobiling has changed my life, right?
Yeah.
I used to never work out, and I laughed at the people who did. Well, because I was young, fit, and I rode, and my talent could outdo, whatever shortcomings I had with whatever else, fitness, right? But it's just so cool how, okay, I'm
dude, I'm straight up pissed you work out now.
Yeah, this morning was rough.
Yeah.
But how, guys? So when we talk about life-changing events, I have seen so many customers that have.
Oh yeah.
Look at Bobby Gilroy last night.
I am that inspired me even more.
Bobby, you guys all remember Supercharged Alpha Bobby, right?
Supercharged Alpha.
Vlog like 7.
Yeah. So Bobby
controversial.
is a freaking stud. Bobby
never gave up.
He came up to the show yesterday at Denver, and I thought,
all of us,
who the hell is that? Bobby has lost 140 pounds.
He lost one of me.
He said, I've almost lost one of you.
Yeah.
And I instantly think of Austin Powers. And oh my gosh.
Get in my belly.
Yeah. So, dude. But Bobby, and we always talk about this, is when you come to our place, there's 2 roads you can go. You can take the easy way and go back home and just say, holy cow, that was way harder than I thought. I'm going back to Meadowville and just I'm gonna go down the road
just
I go.
Sit on my butt.
Or you can get motivated. And more often than not, our customers get motivated.
Yeah.
And
cool to see.
we have so many stories and whether it's weight loss or quitting smoking or getting into shape or just caring more and working harder and that is talk about rewarding, right?
That's the ultimate feeling.
That is the ultimate feeling.
Like seeing Bobby yesterday was like, wow, BBA really inspired. I feel like it really inspired him to be that way.
Yeah, and that inspires me. Yeah, and it inspires you guys. And I think that is what has been so enjoyable for me is what I love. And sometimes this happens and it's great where, I get the group of repeats that are rippers that we have to work on just a very few things and we get to go ride. Right. And obviously those are great fun times, but I'll never forget our group from New Hampshire that came out and they thought they were about whatever, a 7, right? And we get to the big open and they couldn't side hill.
Yeah.
They could not get on edge. And I'm just like, are you guys kidding me? This is terrible. And so then it's just like helmet off.
Yep.
Everybody helmet off, and we gotta
Let's reset here.
Let's reset. And then at the end of day 3, I mean, and that's where just like us guides, we could go one way or the other.
For sure.
We could take the easy way and just say, well, these guys are terrible. Let's go Meadowville and just do pow turns and take it the easy way. Yeah. Or we can buckle down. We could take it as a challenge, which I love, really loving. Yep. Take it as a challenge, and I'm going to make you a freaking rider. And I'll never forget those guys. And they've been to Chile since, and day 3.
We were doing stuff. Like real stuff. And I mean, that's the reward for me. It's a reward for them. And to, no matter what the challenge is in life, whether it's snowmobiling, a job at work or whatever, when you have the cards stacked against you and you beat it and you win, I mean, it's just like, that's how I ride as well. Yeah. I mean, I want to fail. Hold on. Wait a second.
I want to do a line that I have the potential to fail. Yeah. And if I win it, man, more confidence. Yeah. I learned something, more ability, everything.
But it's cool as if you, like, so often for me, I don't win it, but I've learned that I can't let that take me down. Yeah. Because once you just stack all those failures and say, well, I just can't do it, then once again, like we talked about yesterday, you just won't. So you just got to think about all those things that you didn't do right, and map it out for when you go at it again, right?
Yep.
And for me, not having the opportunity so much to just kind of take off, which is great because I'm teaching with people, but I always get that one chance a day. Like you've put it into our heads, just one chance a day. Take that opportunity to go kick your own butt, right?
Yep.
Right.
And if I can just do that once, and even if I don't make it, that feels good. And then I think I let it spin in my head, like, what did I do wrong? And I'll do that better next time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes us all better riders. And, Chris, back you asked about, take it from here on how your feeling is with, you've had the chance to work with all the guides on the team and over the years. And I do feel like it's helped so much to help me be the best teacher possible, right? I take a little flavor from everyone, plus especially spin in what I remember as a client.
Yeah.
And what I struggled with, and I just it really hits me because I know what they're feeling, and I know that they're thinking, I know I can't do this, but then I just keep drilling in their heads, right, Ross? Like, dude, you guys, you can do this because look at me. And then people, and then they don't understand like my history maybe a little bit, or they don't understand that I've got some challenges physically, and then we'll be back at the lodge like, what happened to your leg? Oh,
did you hurt your leg today?
Did you hurt your leg? I wish I had some cool story, but I don't. And then I think I look at it like I try to spin it positively as possible. Like I think that I hope that inspires people, because if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that's what I want so bad, and that feeling of starting with somebody or a group. It could be just one person even that can't even get their sled on edge. To day 3, we're actually in trees, and we're just like, it's hard not to laugh with fun.
And so much of it is a team effort from guides to clients, and that's what can help. Yep. That's what brings like the family feeling together.
Yep.
It's like,
we work together as a team.
We're all going to work today. Yep. Like, welcome to the team. Like, let's go get better. And we do this every day. So you're with us. Like, trust us. Let us help you. We'll be here all day. Like, we are so patient, and it's fun, because then once you get that like friendship kind of rolling, then they're poking fun at you. I'll never forget a client one time. He's like, hit that. I'm like, no. He's like, hit it. No, you're a guide. Jump off. Like he's like telling me to do stuff, And so like it just becomes really fun in that aspect, and I think that's what is part of it. And I think of like a mid-February when we've been running for that's like our straight. We're in the zone, and maybe we just had a 16-hour day, and then we're in the shop, and then our new clients come in, and they're just getting off the plane and they're fresh, and then that we have to restart.
Game on.
Right? And when we have clients that come with great attitudes in the beginning, it helps us as well, right?
Yeah.
So and I love that when they show up and they're stoked, then I can get stoked pretty quick too, and I'm back in it, So I think and that's what happens too, Ryan, when you're not at BBA or not guiding for a little bit, and then you come in, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to look at Chris and Kyle every morning.
I'm like, guys, come on, let's do this.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's nothing more I love than just the opportunity to help people on the snow.
Yeah.
It really motivates me, and it motivates me in all aspects of life, and to continue pushing and continue just being the best and bringing in, all these little new flavors that we add to the business to help the experience be more like family and sending people home with a whole new mindset. That's what it's all about.
So let's switch a little bit and let's talk about, and we kind of started to go down that road, but we keep going off on tangents.
It's easy to get off on the stories.
But when we're on the snow, and for all the listeners out there, so one of the biggest things that we focus on is we understand people have their strengths and weaknesses, and the only reason that people have weaknesses is because they avoid them, and then they continue being weaknesses.
True.
And so, that's something that we push really hard for when we're on the snow is, and I think it's always funny in the riders meeting, I'm like, so raise of hand, who prefers side hilling on the left? And pretty much everyone, yep, all hands up. I'm like, okay, sweet.
It's funny when you say that. I have to think, like, I don't know what you mean.
I don't know which way. I honestly don't know which way that is.
Yeah. And so we're like, okay, perfect. Well, we're gonna practice all day, and then you
can feel the look through the helmet and the goggles.
And it all depends on what kind of mood I'm in on the day, whether we start on the left side or the right side. But as both of you guys are out there teaching, and we kind of joked around like when we do the first drill of the day and nobody wants to do it, and then it's stuck fest, and we hear I normally do better than this, right? So talk about how you get the riders back in the mindset that they need to be, and get them focused on the agenda.
I think, and Ross chime in here because we've done this a lot together, and we have a pretty good system. So Chris described it really well. So many times, and this is just the program, we rip down the trail, which is a quick ride, and get out to the good zones of nice soft snow, and we'll do a little test hill, for example, and usually we take it easier on them than you might, which is just kind of the layout of our group. So it's typically a pretty good stuck fest, right? And sometimes right off the trail.
Yeah.
So what we typically do to get people, not frustrated right off the bat is, we'll just have a little kind of a little group hug, so to speak. We'll regroup, right, Ross?
Yeah.
Take our helmets off. All right, guys. So here's what we saw. This is really what we need to focus on, and we'll grab a little side hill spot to practice on, and really just get people comfortable. Like, just build some confidence, right?
Yeah.
Get some wins, all right, instead of immediately stuck in the I usually do better than this. Okay, yeah, I'm sure you do. But remember, this is all, set aside everything, right? This is all new. Our snow is more challenging. Our altitude is more challenging. You're probably on a new sled that you haven't ridden before, even if it is similar. We're intimidating. Let's just face it. Everything's just new, and there's a lot of nerves. So, it's just bringing people back into their comfort zone, and some familiarity, and just, make the happy feelings happen, right?
Right.
So
somewhere where there's no consequences, and we can, put these things to work. And I think of, this year we had a couple sweet spots on the trail. Yeah. With like a big side hill right on the trail that's
kind of what I was getting at earlier. I remember many rides we were just side hilling on the cut banks.
And like, maybe Ryan you're on the trail and you have your helmet off, and then I'm ripping around up, following people, and then it's all it really takes is like somebody comes out and I just give you a wave and you like walk over and kind of recap, and we
exactly. So there's a lot of that, Ross, that we do that you're reminding me of. It's and I'll do this with Chris a lot too, right? We'll post up on a nice, easier open hill and get some side hill and practice going. One person, usually me, I'll be out front. Maybe you'll be in the back, and we're just guiding people through the process, right?
Yeah.
The eyes up, the throttle control, brake control, and all that stuff. Once again, building confidence. That's important.
I think what's funny here is we have a bunch of different riding level people who are listening right now.
Right.
Yeah,
And so I could
that's
see.
true. And I'm focused a lot on more of the people that need help here.
Sure, but that's what I'm bringing my point back to is for the guy who has grown up in the mountains, who is a ripper, right? This guy's looking like, why would I come down there? I mean, these guys are talking about side hilling in this big open hill above the trail.
Yeah.
And it's really it's crazy that, and I told the story a little bit yesterday, but even no matter what skill level you are, let's say you are an 8, and there's not a ton of 8s, okay? But if you're an 8 and I get you on that big wide open hill and I tell you to go do this, I promise I can still tweak something. There's something, and that's what we ride with different skill levels, right?
Right.
And normally I get the group with a little more experience. And what I love talking about is there's a lot of good riders, but there's very few great riders. And the difference between a good rider and a great rider are just those really small, minute things. Unweighting the sled, having your plan B early, being able to carry more momentum, being able to still stay neutral, all of those really little things. And I think that's something that I really love about what we do is no matter what skill level you are, you will gain something from this. And so I'm gonna ask you guys, and you only get one answer. When we got the groups on day one, first drill, what would you say the biggest mistake you see that you try to focus on to work on?
Well,
Ryan?
That's an easy one for me. Eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
Committing to counter steer.
Committing to the counter steer.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to answer that question. So let's
Wait,
talk about that.
Do you have a different answer?
Yeah, I do.
That's hilarious.
Mine is they're not square to the hill. So their body positioning is
all that.
And you know what's funny is all three of these play off each other.
Yeah,
exactly.
they do.
Exactly.
Because if you're not,
Yep.
if you're not doing the one, it's not doing the other, and you
Yeah.
can't do. If your eyes are down, then you're probably not square to the hill, and
That's Ryan's
And
point.
and you're not.
And if you're not square to the
and
hill,
how can you counter
steering.
steer?
Yeah. All of that.
All you're doing is looking at the skis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we joke about this. This is what me and Ross joke about a lot when we're out with the group. Like, if you're driving your truck, are you staring at the hood?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
No, just think if you did, you'd crash immediately.
Yeah.
It's so much harder on a snowmobile, though. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but it is the
It's
hardest.
because it's something new.
Something new. And it's so different. Well, so you know it's funny, you're talking about kind of the layout, day 1, day 2, day 3.
Yeah.
So I had in Chile, I had day 1 and 2 got flopped because these guys were so stoked to be in Chile.
Yeah.
I could not even get them to stop. Like they're hair on fire, so
like
excited.
12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Just
I
go
tried a lot, and and I'm like, okay. And then
I guess we're riding.
We're riding.
we had a good day 1, and then day 2, I finally got him on this hill, Kyle and I, and we started putting in work for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and the talk at dinner that night. Oh, day 2 was way better. And I'm like, yeah, guys, that was the point. I was trying to get you to slow down day one. And they're like, what do you expect? And I was like, yeah, we understand you just, you travel halfway across the world. You're excited, all these things. But just to recap back on that, I've never had that happen. I could not even get them to get on the practice hill day 1, but we got it done day 2.
Nice.
And it made it so different. So
Yeah, and I end up running into that as well on my side.
Yeah.
Where guys just they in their mind they were coming to go push themselves in this crazy terrain, right? And
day 3.
Yeah, but if you don't do the process, and so I end up like just an absolute stuck fest, and then you honestly get in terrain that it's hard to teach, and you really just scratch the day. I mean,
tough,
you're scratching the day. And then I've had many, just like you described, Ross, where I'm like, okay, guys, let's reset here just a little bit. Here's all the things that we were really messing up on yesterday. We're going to get that dialed in this morning. And then, man, it makes, rest of day 2 and day 3 really good. One thing that I ran into last year is because we get, even within the group, and this is why we ride with 2 guides, even within the group, we have multiple levels. One of the things, and this was really awesome to see. So we talk about people changing, life-changing events for people. I'm going to bring up Wyatt from last year.
Yeah.
So we rode with Wyatt at Grizzly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Wyatt was he was super young. I mean, he's still young.
He was like he had to be 16.
16,
yeah.
And Wyatt was an overweight 16-year-old.
I was also one.
You were.
Heck yeah.
Yep. And so Wyatt at Grizzly was he had a great attitude, loved snowmobiling, and
he could get around.
He could get around, right?
Around.
But he physically, he was getting his butt kicked, and it was really awesome. So last year, Wyatt came out again for a second time, and that's really neat. I mean, Ross, your story is cool, becoming so young, right? I mean, you're spending your money as a 16-year-old. And you're investing it in your riding ability. I mean, that was Wyatt's deal too. And so Wyatt comes back, and I didn't even recognize it. He's like, yeah, remember we rode together at Grizzly? I'm like, dude, you were like 80 pounds heavier as a 16-year-old. And so, Wyatt did the same thing on the fitness side of things. But one thing that really caught my eye was, holy cow, dude, this kid has been practicing. And I, like I just mentioned, we can always find something that you're doing not quite right.
Yeah.
I was searching.
Yeah.
I'm like, so right here, Wyatt needs to move his foot. Like, as we send clients to do a line while we're talking with the group, right? Hey, Wyatt, just do a side hill right here. I want you to stop in the middle and then make a loop and then come back up to me, right? And then I'm like talking with the clients. Okay, so right here, see right there, he moved his foot forward so it didn't wash out. Now right here, he's gonna wanna, and then he would do it.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see. Not only, he. At Grizzly, he knew that if he wanted to be better, he had to change some things.
Yeah.
And we look at our riding kind of the same way, right? We try to minimize mistakes, be more efficient on the snowmobile, all of those things.
Right.
And so I thought that was a pretty cool moment for me last year. And Wyatt went from a good rider to a great rider, and he did it because he came out here, got his ass handed to him, and took that as motivation.
Yeah. And he became a student, Yeah. It would be interesting to ask, like,
what he did,
to
get that.
Where have you been watching? What have you been watching, and how have you been watching? Right? Like, that's how we had a moment in Chile down on that deep day. You took off, and I saw you, and I just watched you. I was looking for like little things that you were doing, and you kind of let the sled go, and you did this thing, and then I caught you, and we talked about it, and.
There's those moments, isn't there, Ross?
You're like, I'm like, this is what you did. And you're like, yeah, I guess I did do that. And that's what I would have done in that situation. But like, that's like very high level, really minute things to get the sled to get out of that hole or do these things. And, I think probably Wyatt started looking at really small things because he knew he had the basics.
Yep.
Right.
There's been some of those moments for myself where I've seen Chris do something, or I'll hear him talk about him.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That makes it a lot easier. And we've talked about some of these things. Like sometimes it's just overriding the sled.
Yeah.
Neutral versus wrong foot forward, right?
Yep.
And once we talked about it a little bit a few years ago about, I ride mostly neutral. I need to do that.
Ross, you stumbled on one a couple seasons ago. Do you remember? It was on edge. Stopped, but you can't be wrong foot forward because it wants to loop back around.
Yeah.
So remember, I was on edge, but I was in a neutral position, and I would get going and so then I was neutral right away
Yeah.
versus wrong foot forward. And I'm in a place where people can't see me to do that,
Yeah.
but you caught me
Yeah.
on that, and you're like, dude, that's cheating. And I'm like, yeah, you got
Yeah.
You're kind of like neutral, but then you have that other foot like off the sled.
Yeah. So if you're on left edge, my left foot is in the snow.
Yeah.
But my right foot is on the
board.
right running board.
Ready to go.
When you should be wrong foot forward.
Yeah.
But you can't be wrong foot forward because you're on a hill and it's steep and you want to go up and it's going to wash out.
And then if you have a trench in there, then that's a really good move to know.
Then you're neutral and you got the sled underneath you.
Yeah.
That was another big one for me. Watching some of your videos and just watching you. I don't remember where it was, but letting the sled dance underneath you.
Yeah.
It's huge. I fought it way too long.
Yeah. One of
you get this.
One of the things I've watched, so our industry kind of crosses over a little bit with the moto industry as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan Hughes, he's a ex-champion on the motocross scene, and he does a lot of teaching. And one of the things he was commenting on is one of the MX riders over in Europe that's like killing it right now.
Yeah.
He was pointing out that same thing, is that he is the only rider that at all times is riding on the balls of his feet, and when you watch him ride, the bike is just working underneath him, and he is always ready in that attack position. And that's something that, as the machines have evolved, and really why I work so hard with skins on building the front end, and why I work so hard on the calibration of the Fox shocks and all of these things, right, is for me to be able to ride neutral. I want to ride neutral and it used to not be like that. It used to be we had to hang off dragging a leg, right? Well, when we were riding the old M7, we had to do that, right? But right now, it is totally shifted for me, and I want my sled to be tippy, not like out of control tippy, but I want it to move easier to allow me to look farther ahead, carry more momentum, and stay neutral, because when I'm neutral, I'm conserving energy.
Yeah.
And that's something that's a little challenging that we teach, right? So when we teach, we're constantly saying, okay, we're going wrong foot forward. We're going slow in control.
Yep.
And so we talk about that. Everything is circumstantial, right? There's times to be neutral and there's times to be wrong foot forward, and it's trying to figure those out.
The balance.
Yeah.
We'll find that at the end of the day, people are wrong foot forwarding everything.
Too much.
Chill out, guys. We can just be neutral.
Well, I wonder why, because all I did for the first 3 hours was scream
drill
at them.
that into their heads.
Yeah.
And so that's the second point of teaching, and later in that day.
Yeah.
Let's focus on maybe just some pow turns and a neutral stance and counter steering, and how you can manipulate the sled just by little bits of pressure on left foot, right foot.
Yeah. And I've had to actually, first half of the day I'm saying, hey, you need to be on edge more. All the way on edge, and then then they're pulling the sled out of the snow, so then you have to kind of back them off.
Yeah.
So
that's a whole nother topic.
Jeez.
Well, yeah. So I'm going to go back just one more thing about Wyatt again. So obviously he chose a different life path to get healthy, eat healthier, be better, exercise, and be in good shape, right?
Right.
And then that helped his riding, and then he pushed his riding. But the other thing that I realized and noticed of how he got from that good level to a great level is he's got a 2018 RMK that has 1,800 miles on it.
What does he have for mods?
A pipe and can,
exactly.
shocks, and a seat, right?
Exactly.
So a very basic setup sled, but he rode the piss out of it.
He rode it.
And that's, I mean, the reason we're where we are is we ride a lot.
Right.
And I understand a lot of people can't ride a lot, but what you need to do is when you get the opportunity to ride, you need to maximize that opportunity and not just do what you always do. The left-hand side hill, go over to the big hill, do your high marks, go over to the meadow, do your pow turns, eat lunch, do another left-hand turn back to the trailer home.
Yeah.
Right? You need to work on stuff if you want to be better. And if you don't and you just enjoy what you're doing, that's great. But the only way to progress is to work at the craft.
Yeah, and that's what I tell my guys is, maybe they're from Minnesota, New York, and they get 6 times on the snow or whatever a year. I'm like, well, okay, you get 6 days. Well, the first day or the first 2 days, take 2 hours that first day and go practice.
Yeah,
get better, and it will make your experience so much better. And that's what we love about having groups come out is they when they all ride together, they can help each other because they know what we would have told them.
Sure.
So.
And what's really neat too is, and Kyle brings this up all the time. Kyle's from Minnesota,
right?
I mean, the flatland.
Yeah.
But Kyle loves the ditches, and you can still side hill and get a sled up on edge in the ditches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. UP, they have terrain where you can do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
East Coast, obviously, we get a lot of East Coast rippers, so they're working on stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to practice being on edge, slow, and control.
No.
Right. So, and those are kind of the big keys here. So,
and that's what's been cool about watching Kyle, is he's from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like
The progression.
For the progression, like I was riding the mountains when I was 14.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. And that kid's just straight up hungry and aggressive, and he just goes at it.
Man, last year was a pretty impressive year for Kyle, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, to watch that and see that, and even the clients commented, who had ridden with Kyle for both seasons. They're like, "Holy crap, what got into that kid?"
Yeah.
And it's.
And that's what's so cool about, being one of the few who have gotten to sweep for you for a couple seasons. Like when you get to be in that role, you learn a lot and you learn fast, and it's a lot of work, but you
have no choice.
You have no choice. And you become really, really good at riding trenches too.
Yeah. And
that's a whole nother art.
And riding trenches, that emphasizes everything that we teach of looking farther ahead, being aggressive with the gas, being neutral, having a plan B, all of those things, you are 100% forced to do that.
Yeah.
And, that's why I really enjoy it. Obviously, I'm up here being the hero in the untracked snow, first line, right?
Watching everyone.
But man, I love coming back down, circling around, looking at the junk show that I just created and getting in there and working, practicing myself, right? Of getting into those positions and doing what I need to do to get back up there.
Yeah, that's when you become like a technician in there, because we're reading trenches and like, okay, if I can get over this trench and I got to get my track there, like you ride way slow, way slower,
but pinned off and on.
Yeah, you're just like
that aggression. I think we've touched on in the past. That is the difference of being stuck all the time and that's where I struggled for years.
Yeah. And Andrew, that's what he struggled with a lot. And I'm looking for, I know that's a really big goal for him. He ran sweep for me in Chile this year.
Yeah.
And that's something that I kept harping on him on. I'm like,
get after it,
dude.
Pin it, get in there.
Get in there.
Yeah.
And Andrew is he's very methodical and in control, and sometimes you have to be a tick out of control in there to just gain the elevation. You got to get through there. Yep. And that's one thing that I learned riding Jackson too, is you literally that was what was really hard for me riding Jackson, was when we see rocks and trees and stumps and all that stuff, we instantly plan B, let's go around, right? At Jackson, you got to close your eyes and pin it.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun. And that was one thing I picked up from riding with Keith this year at the dealer show, or when we were riding the 2020s at the photo shoot, is he is super aggressive in those situations where you kind of don't want to be. You want to get into that section of the hill or the drainage or the creek. You kind of want to get in there and then do it. And Keith just is wide open. But what it happens, and he gets that from his dirt bike side of things.
Yeah.
And if you watch, Graham Jarvis and any of those guys, and we know this, right? You can never make momentum up on the hill. Mm-hmm. You can only hope to maintain what you built at the bottom.
Yeah.
And
he's so good at that.
He's really good at that. And that was, I took a little page out of that notebook when I was riding with him. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yep. There's a little bit more chance of a bobble, right?
Yep.
Because
The
Eh,
speed.
yeah.
yeah.
And if you're good and you feel that bobble, then you can reset.
You can fix it,
Yeah.
but you have momentum
You have momentum
to get going.
Yeah. We had a deep day in McCall a couple years ago, and it was with him, and I were hitting this hill, and he came from the bottom. I was like, holy cow. I was so blown away at how fast he was going out of the corner. And he kind of scratched out the top. I think he got hung up in a tree, but I couldn't get to him. I had to go around the top to get to him. Well, he took all the snow away. I don't know. I'm making up excuses, but it was pretty crazy.
Well, that's what was funny, and we're about to wrap this up.
Yeah.
But that's what was really funny about. I remember this line last year specifically that me and Kyle were on at the end of the day. Clients were done. I'm like, Kyle, let's go. One more.
Yeah.
And I ended up. There was just this spot where I came out of the trees and there was a head wall and I had the mow and I was able to get up. And once I got up, I gained another, several hundred yards before I even had to turn out. And Kyle was just blown away. He's like, I tried 3 times in your track and I couldn't get over the head wall. And we all talk about this. If you can't get above the shelf, you're screwed. Right. And so, those are some of those things of, you get that one shot, you get that one
chance,
one opportunity, and Ross, I think about that hill that me, you, and Kyle were on, that we got our segment on, and I won my double or nothing bet.
Doubled it up, yeah.
But that hill, for the first line, it was tough. But then once we had all of our trenches in there, it was even more gnarly. And when I came back around that second time and made it again, I mean, that was way more rewarding the second time, because it was so hard. And I remember I got a little screwed up in a trench, but I was still pinned off the sled, running, foot bouncing off the trees. And as I'm going up, I'm looking back. See ya, suckers.
And the second time through that line, you will see the segment kind of on it and what the footage we have of it. But, I got hung up, and then Kyle got hung up right next to me. And then I reset, and I went right.
Yeah.
I went like a whole nother route. But then you came through my bomb hole and got out the top of it. And then I got screwed up at the top. But, but it's just, when you're in those holes, and we love them so much, the deep, dark, gnarly little spots, like you try to figure out how you can get through them, whether that's hitting your trench again and having more momentum, or like recalibrating and going a different line.
Route.
Yep.
Yeah. But then if you go the different route, sometimes you can't make the corner, and it just it's a snowball.
And you lose the elevation, and that was one of those hills.
That was one, yeah.
Yep.
So.
Well, awesome. We're going to wrap this one up. Ryan, awesome to have you.
Thanks, man.
And we'll definitely have you on more. It's really cool what you bring perspective-wise to the podcast, to the business. If you guys have ever sent an email through the site, you have talked to Ryan.
That's it.
And so we'll keep doing what we do here, and these have been very enjoyable. And I think, Ross, our next few podcasts, we've been getting a lot of requests for sled setup and talking about parts, some tech stuff. So be patient with us, guys. We have lots and lots of stuff to cover. We'll be more consistent with the podcast as we get into the heart of the season here. Ryan, did you have one more thing?
In the words of Chris Burandt, don't keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
That's right.
Take that with your riding and in everyday life.
Boom.
Cool.
Boom.
Definition of insanity.
Awesome.
That's right.
Awesome.
Check you guys later.
Thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to subscribe, iTunes, Spotify. Let us know what you think. Share us on social. We love that, and we will continue to share that and be in contact with you guys, and shoot us messages if you have any requests for show topics. And we'll keep them coming. See you next time.